and welcome to the Filipino Bar Association of Northern California's 40th Annual Installation Ceremony. I am pleased to introduce my co-MC this evening, Neil Bautista. Neil is a recent graduate of UC Hastings College of Law and the 2019 recipient of the FBANC Foundation Legal Scholarship. While at Hastings, he was a dedicated leader of the Filipinx American Law Society and a founding member of the Consumer Attorney Society. He was a law clerk at the Dolan Law Firm and a clinic counselor for legal aid at work. Neil believes in making legal representation more accessible for historically underrepresented and at-risk communities. To that end, he plans to be a trial lawyer and a fierce advocate of workers' rights.
Thank you, Chloe. I'm so honored to be co-emceeing with you. Chloe and I actually met while volunteering at a diversity event in 2018 and have been good friends ever since. Chloe graduated this past May from Santa Clara University School of Law. At Santa Clara, she served as co-president of the Filipino American Law Society and the Immigration Law Society. She works with groups like PAWIS and Filipino Advocates for Justice, and as student counsel, she argued in front of the Ninth Circuit and the EOIR courts. Chloe was previously a labor union organizer for SEIU 2015 for healthcare workers. Chloe is now a legal fellow at Justice at Last, which serves trafficking survivors in the Bay Area region. Last year, Chloe received the inaugural Honorable Ronald Keydeshe Scholarship from the FBANC Foundation. While we are commemorating FBANC's 4-decade-long commitment to diversifying the legal profession and to serving the SF Bay Area Filipinx and Filipinx American communities this evening, we would be remiss if we do not recognize the current state of our nation. Systemic racism and the coronavirus are disproportionately killing people of color, particularly Black Americans.
The Filipino Bar Association of Northern California stands against the systemic racism and oppression experienced in this country. Our Filipinx history is tied to the struggles of the Black community, and our ability to live, thrive, and be citizens of this country is made possible by triumphs won by our Black brothers and sisters. We support the pursuit for social justice through activism and education during these challenging times, and are here to stand in unity with the Black community against racism and police brutality. I now ask you all to join me for a moment of silence to remember George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud Arbery, and so many of our fallen Black brothers and sisters. Rest in power.
FBANC also honors the sacrifices of frontline workers, particularly healthcare workers. Filipino Americans make up a large portion of the nation's nursing workforce, and COVID-19 has taken a devastating toll on them. So it is with great pride that I introduce Ilona Santiago, a registered nurse at a local hospital in Fresno, California, and a talented Filipino American singer from San Lorenzo, California. Ilona has been singing since the age of 3, and she was a finalist during seasons 1 and 3 of The X Factor. Today, Ilona's passion for singing has taken a temporary backseat while she works on the front lines during this pandemic. Ilona will be singing the Philippines and US national anthems for us this evening. So without further ado, take it away, Ilona.
Bayang magiliw, perlas ng silanganan, alab ng puso, sa dibdib mo'y buhay. Lupang hinirang, duyan ka ng magiting, sa manlulupig, di ka pasisir, sa dagat at bundok, sa simoy at sa langit mong bughaw, may dilag ang tula at awit sa paglayan minamahal, ang kislap ng watawat mo'y tagumpay na nagdidigning, ang bituin at araw niya kailan pa may di magdidilim, lupa ng araw ng luwal, hati pagsinta, buhay ang langit sa piling mo. Aming ligaya na pag may mga dahil sa'yo. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watch were so gallantly streaming. And the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave over the land of the free and the home of the
Thank you, Alana, and to all of our healthcare professionals for the sacrifices you make every day, and especially during this pandemic. Please welcome FBANC's 39th president, Mark Pilotin. Mark is the General Counsel for California Labor and Workforce Development Agency. Before joining LWDA, Mark was the counsel for wage and hour litigation for the U.S. Department of Labor's Western Region and associate at Leaf, Trailblazer, Hyman, and Bernstein. Mark has served as court-appointed counsel in civil rights cases. In the community, he has served as chair of the Oakland Public Ethics Commission and as a director of the ACLU of Northern California and serves on the NFALA Foundation Board. Last year, NAPABA recognized Mark with the Best Lawyer Under 40 award. Thank you, Mark, for serving for the FBANC board for the past 7 years.
You're on mute, Mark.
Thank you for saying that I'm on mute. I still do not know how to use Zoom, despite having been using Zoom over the past couple of months. But what I meant to say and what I was saying while I was on mute was to thank Chloe and Neil, for doing what you're doing tonight and emceeing tonight, and also congratulations to the two of you and to the class of 2020 for graduating law school this year. Just wanted to kind of take the time to give both of you a round of applause. And I know everyone else out there is are congratulating the class of 2020, and we will honor them later on today as well. I also wanted to thank the rest of the FBANC family for coming together tonight. We may not have Hennessy on the table. Some of us might out there, but we are still celebrating our community, honoring our law students and awardees, and inducting our latest team of leaders who will take FBANC into our next 40 years. Now, although all of us knew that FBANC would find some way to come together tonight, I don't think any of us knew, and at least I hope that no one knew that we would be doing it in this way tonight. No one knew that a virus would upend our world, keeping us home and disrupting the lives of millions around us. Nor did any of us know that amidst this pandemic, protests would spread across our country, condemning yet more Black lives being taken by police, protests that give us hope that the tide just might be turning on the insidious bias that we all want to banish from the world around us. But in every time of disruption and upheaval, there is potential for change. There is an opportunity to make a difference. There's a chance for us to reboot the status quo. And this is where organizations like ours, like FBANC, are so important. FBANC right now is meeting this moment, and our community is coming together to address the issues that are facing the lives of those around us. Shortly after the pandemic began, the FBANC team mobilized to respond to the needs of our community, with incoming President-elect Jennifer Santa Ana taking the lead and standing up a remote clinic platform that served hundreds of folks seeking to apply for state benefits. And now, because of this, FBANC has an infrastructure that we can use going forward to reach our community remotely and expand the services that FBANC can provide. Given this type of ingenuity and commitment to our community, I have no doubt that in the year to come and in the years to come, FBANC will continue to push for a better normal that resets the course of our society. You don't need to look further than what FBANC has done in this past year to know that this will be true under our incoming president, Mari Bandoma Kiato. You can look to our Comunidad conference, which brought together law students from across the Bay Area to meet our wonderful members, our attorneys, our professionals, to mentor them, to coach them, to support them in their professional development. Thank you, Ray Rowland. You can look to our robust mentorship program, which brought together 30+ law students from across the Bay Area, again, to introduce them to seasoned attorneys, to move them forward, to give them the tools that they need. And those mentorship programs, combined with our scholarship program, which we will be recognizing tonight, have awarded over $40,000 this year to uplift and support our next generation of bankers. Thank you, Antonio Raimundo and Maria Segarra. To our wonderful legal clinics in FBANC, which recognize and rely on the importance of community partnerships, knowing that we cannot support our community alone. Thank you, Giorgio Castro and Lynette Backlig. Our wonderful professional development programs, which build upon now FBANC's ability to provide CLE credits to our members, seeking to develop the careers of our legal professionals while ensuring that they take care of themselves and maintain their mental health. Thank you, Janice Riker and Maribeth Charvet. Our membership programs and the advocacy of our membership directors to expand the services that we provide and the categories of people that we serve, which now this year includes legal paraprofessionals, in addition to lawyers and law students. Thank you, James Villanueva and James Dillas Reyes. To our social events, which when we didn't have to be physically distant, brought us together in one place, which I know in the months to come we will do again, including with our family picnics and our holiday party. So thank you, Will Walraven. And to the wonderful social media that we have, to the wonderful communications that we put out to keep our community informed. Thank you, Jarell Agatep and Natalie Lashinsky. And thank you, Natalie, too, for making sure that our FBANC Foundation remains a strong fundraising organization. And thank you to those, our community outreach committee who made sure that we kept our connections to our community partners. Thank you, Grisel, Ruggiero, and Rena Sarah. Of course, none of this would have been possible without the foresight of our founders who over 40 years ago had the foresight to give us this gift of an organization that brings us together to make the difference that we want to see in this world and to become the lawyers and attorneys that we all want to be. and that we all seek to be, to make the changes that we want to see in this world. I grew up basically as a lawyer with FBANC at my side. I've been on FBANC for, when I first started on FBANC 7 years ago now on the FBANC board, I was a baby lawyer, a second-year associate at a plaintiff side firm here in San Francisco, not knowing what I was doing. I truly am grateful for the opportunity that FBANC gave me, the mentorship that FBANC afforded me, and the community that FBANC welcomed me into, which I know far well without, I would have not have had the opportunities that I have had in my legal career without the support of the folks in this organization, the kind ears that this organization has lent me as I have tried to figure out what to do in my career, and just the ongoing, unending, and bottomless support that everyone has just provided in terms of, not just to me, but I know is provided to everybody. This is an amazing organization, and I am so eternally grateful for everything that this organization has done for me and has done for many others that I have seen over the past 7 years. I am so eternally grateful to this last person, the incoming president, Mari Bandoma-Keado, who joined with the FBANC board with me 7 years ago. And as I've told her over the past week, I will definitely miss kind of this project that we've had together over these past 7 years, which has been absolutely amazing. But in any event, thank you. I appreciate all of you, and I look forward to seeing where FBANC goes in the years to come. Thank you. At this point in time, I'd like to introduce our Chief Justice of the California Supreme Court, Tani Gore Cantil-Sakaue. Chief Justice Tani Cantil-Sakaue was sworn into office in January 2011 as the 28th Chief Justice of the state of California. She is the first Asian Filipino American and the second woman to serve as the state's Chief Justice. During her 9 years in office, the Chief Justice has emerged as one of the country's leading advocates for equal access to justice, civic education, and reform of court funding models and procedures that unfairly impact the poor. The Chief Justice was FBANC's keynote speaker, and she received FBANC's Trailblazer Award in 2016. It is my distinct honor to introduce the Chief Justice of the state of California, Justice Tani Cantil-Sakaue.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you for that introduction. Thank you for your kind words, and thank you for the invite. I too join in the congratulations of both Chloe and Neil, recent law school graduates who are also very active in the community, helping others and emceeing tonight's event. And I also want to really be in full gratitude to hear the beautiful voice of Ilona as she spoke to us in our song about patriotism and our commitment and fight for freedom for all. I think tonight is bittersweet in the sense that it's wonderful to be with you. It's just sad to miss the energy of FBANC and to be there in person. But I also know that FBANC is unique and smart and innovative and on the edge. And so I knew that having this celebration, when I heard about it from Jennifer, for your 40th anniversary, you'd be making history in so many ways. I mean, in the context of our environment today, after being on lockdown some 80+ days and counting, to have then the third civil rights protest or the civil rights movement, in my view, upon our heels on the result of the unfortunate and tragic deaths of George Floyd and Breonna Taylor and Ahmaud Arbery, really the time is now for a call to action. And FBANC, with its advocacy and its dedication and its talent, is poised to be a huge part of that advocacy for change. And we need to look only as far as our own history to know and feel how marginalized communities have been discriminated and how it is we rise together in support of each other and one another. It wasn't many, many years ago. Frankly, it was the 70s, years I remember well, when Filipinos sat down in the fields to stand up for their rights, seeking a minimum wage for picking grapes in California, a strike that went on for over 5 years for the simple right to be paid a fair wage. I know that FBANC dedicates much of its talent to immigration and labor, a number of other issues, landlord-tenant, and so the gifts you bring back to the community at large are priceless. And you know you are changing generations. All of us, the lawyers we are today, the judges we are today, are because of the experience that's in our DNA that makes us the voice of the voiceless. And so I'm so proud to be with FBANC. I'll never forget when I was sworn in as Chief Justice at the commission hearing over 10 years ago approximately, how FBANC came out in number and size and voice, and you spoke in my favor at my hearing in front of the commission, imploring them to confirm me as the first Asian Filipina Chief Justice of California. I have that video, I treasure it. I've become friends with so many of you as a result of our work together. I'm proud to be in the ranks of all of our Filipino and Filipina judges who are my friends, who I enjoy, who I love hearing about and reading about their cases. I salute Rob Bonta, our assembly member, and his mother, who is a huge activist and a model to us all, because Filipino activism is generational, and the fire in our heart is in our DNA. And so it is with great pleasure that I administer the oath of office to the incoming officers of FBANC when you're ready. Are all the officers present to take the oath? Give me a little wave. I see some head nods, all ready to go. Perfect. Okay, please repeat after me. Raise your right hand. I state your name.
I,
Antonio
Antonio
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly
swear
that I will support and defend
that I will support
and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
the
the
Constitution
of the State of California
and the bylaws of FBANC
and the
bylaws of
of
FBANC
against all enemies,
against
all enemies,
foreign and domestic,
foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith
that
that I will bear true faith
and allegiance
and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States
to the
Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the bylaws of FBANC,
and the bylaws of FBANC,
that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation
without any
mental reservation
or purpose of evasion,
or
purpose
of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully
and that I will well and faithfully
discharge the duties
discharge
the duties
upon which
upon
on
which
which
I am about to enter.
I am about to enter.
enter.
Thank you for your leadership. Congratulations. Best wishes to you all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief Justice,
My pleasure.
for being here with us tonight and for your kind words. And congratulations to the 2020-2021 FBANC Board of Directors. I am pleased to introduce FBANC's 40th President, Mari Bandoma Collado. Mari is a senior associate attorney at the Dolan Law Firm, where she represents employees in wrongful termination, discrimination, harassment, retaliation, whistleblower, and human trafficking cases, as well as individuals injured and families of loved ones who have died due to the fault of others, including elder abuse and neglect lawsuits. Mari has served on the FBANC board since 2013. During her tenure on the board, Mari has served as president-elect, vice president, treasurer, secretary, and has chaired several committees. Last year, Mari co-founded the Awards and Endorsements Committee. She is one of the co-founders of Pinay Powerhouse, and she's honored to have received FBANC's Raymond L. Ocampo Jr.'s Family Scholarship in 2011, and to have co-emceed the 2012 FBANC Installation Dinner. In addition to her work with FBANC, Mari regularly volunteers at Legal Aid at Work's Workers' Rights Clinic and the Alameda County Bar Association's Lawyers in the Library. She also serves on the California Employment Lawyers Association's Education Committee and the Consumer Attorneys of California's Diversity Committee as its education chair. She is the co-chair of the National Filipino American Lawyers Association's Plaintiffs Network and the Asian American Bar Association's Civil Rights Committee. Mari is honored to be part of the inaugural class of fellows of LEAD California, a leadership program sponsored by ABA and CalAPAVA in 2019.
Magandang gabi po sa inyong lahat. Thank you, Neil, so much for that introduction. As Neil mentioned, my name is Mari Bandoma Collado. I'm a senior associate attorney at the Dolan Law Firm, and I am so honored to be FBANC's 40th president. I'm so proud of FBANC's accomplishment this year under the leadership of Mark Delotin. FBANC is grateful for the commitment of our members in serving our community. Tonight, I would like to recognize our 2019-2020 Legal Clinic directors, Lynette Bachling and Giorgio Castro, and our dedicated Legal Clinic volunteers. I would also like to recognize the 2-month-long Form Assistance Virtual Clinic that FBANC hosted with ALC. This clinic was spearheaded by your President-elect, Jennifer Santa Ana. Unfortunately, Jennifer is unable to make it this evening. Jennifer has had a long-standing commitment to serving the Filipinx community. She completed a master's from Georgetown. However, she left academia to directly help workers disenfranchised by a political economy that caters to the neoliberal dictates of the powerful. Jennifer is a trial attorney at the Office of the Solicitor at the U.S. Department of Labor, enforcing federal laws born out of the labor and civil rights movements of our country. She has served on the FBANC board since 2016 and has received FBANC's Raymond L. Ocampo Jr.'s Family Scholarship in 2015. She co-emceed the 2014 FBANC Installation Dinner. Thank you, Jennifer, to ALC and to the over 70 volunteer advocates, law students, and attorneys. The FBANC ALC EDD Form Assistance Clinic helped close to 500 clients in a matter of 2 months.
Thanks, Mari, and to all of our Legal Clinic volunteers. Tonight really is a remarkable night. We have the privilege of having the first Filipino American and the second woman to serve as California's Chief Justice with us this evening. Thank you so much, Chief Justice Tani Cantil-Sakaui, for celebrating FBANC's 40th anniversary with us.
We also heard from the highest ranking Filipino American in California's executive branch, and now FBANC's immediate past president, Mark Peloton. Thank you, Mark, for your leadership and dedication to FBANC.
And we're just getting started. We will also hear from several distinguished guests, the Honorable Benjamin T. Reyes II, the Honorable Audrey Ibarra, and Assemblymember Rob Bonta.
We will also be recognizing Bill Hing, the recipient of FBANC's Jose Rizal Award, and Raymond L. Ocampo Jr., the recipient of FBANC's Trailblazer Award. We're also breaking an FBANC Foundation record this evening with the FBANC Foundation awarding and recognizing over 40,000 in scholarships and stipends.
So let's get to it. I'm pleased to introduce FBANC's 2020 to 2021 Secretary, Nelson Pineda Lam. Nelson is an employment counsel at Uber Technologies Incorporated based in San Francisco. Before joining Uber, he worked at the global law firm DLA Piper as an associate advising on employment law issues and business transactions. Nelson graduated from UC Hastings cum laude in 2015. During his law school years, he served as the president of the Filipinx American Law Society and was the recipient of the FBANC Legal Scholarship. Nelson served on the FBANC board from 2016 to 2019, most recently as treasurer, and is thrilled to rejoin the board as secretary.
Thanks, Chloe. I'm pleased to introduce special guests this evening who are trailblazers in the Filipinx American community. The Honorable Judge Benjamin T. Reyes II was appointed by Governor Jerry Brown to the Superior Court of California on May 22, 2017. Judge Reyes is the first Filipino American judge on the Contra Costa County bench, and only the second trial court judge appointed in the 9 Bay Area counties. I also heard it's his birthday today. Welcome, Judge Reyes.
Thank you, Nelson. And to my boss, Madam Chief Justice Tani Cantil Sakauye, the members of the Board of Directors of FBANC, and to all my fellow members, good evening, FBANC. Congratulations on a successful 40 years. I can't think of a better way to spend my birthday than with this community of outstanding lawyers and judges. There is a lot of pain and anguish in our world today. Like all of America, many members of our Filipinx American family are on the front lines of handling this COVID-19 pandemic. At the same time, we are suffering from an economic downturn, and many of us are unemployed or underemployed. And we are all still trying to process the senseless deaths of our Black brothers and sisters. But in all of this darkness, FBANC is still continuing to build and unify the community and is a shining star. I'm very proud of the work that you are all doing for our Bay Area community, especially for our Filipino American neighbors, our Black brothers and sisters, and our frontline first responders. I admire the practice workshop, and I do admire the work that you have done with collaboration with the other bar associations. I'm very impressed by the fact that you are awarding $40,000 in scholarships tonight. I also commend you for your continuing nature of hosting free legal clinics where you give a voice to the underrepresented. And I'm also encouraged by your rising activism and collaboration for unity, equality, and equity for people of color. I'm very indebted to all of you for your support for my appointment to the bench. I would not be in this position without FBANC's support. We are privileged to have a legal education, but we use this to fight against the privilege of entitlement. FBANC has expanded and elevated our community over the last 40 years. Please keep up the momentum. I am proud to call all of you my colleagues and my friends. I'd like to congratulate President Mari Bandoma Calado and to the incoming board of directors. I look forward to your leadership. Congratulations to Jose Rizal Award recipient Bill Hing, and to my mentor and Trailblazer Award recipient and FBANC founder, Raymond Ocampo Jr. Ray, I'll always remember how you've taken me under your wing and showed me how to be an attorney and a trial lawyer. I appreciate that very much. I also would like to congratulate Neil, Chloe, and the rest of the class of 2020 for an awesome graduation. Mabuhay to everybody, Good night, and thank you for allowing me to address you.
Thank you, Judge Reyes. We're also honored to have the Honorable Judge Audra Ibarra, the first Filipino American to serve as a Superior Court judge in the Bay Area and the first Filipino American in Santa Clara County's history. She was appointed to the Santa Clara County bench in December 2018. Welcome, Judge Ibarra.
Thank you for having me. I was told that today we were celebrating FBANC Pamaana. And to me, that's about honoring our Filipino American leaders for improving the legal community through diversity and inclusion. I know that FBANC, as people have mentioned, was founded over 40 years ago by only 32 members, led by President Eleanor Nisperos and OGs on the board like Judge Kita Chai, Edna Espanol, Ernie Lorente, Rodel Rodi, Mel Santos, Rayo Campo Jr. By the way, Ray, congratulations on your well-deserved Trailblazer Award. FBANC began because there were a low number of Filipino Americans in the legal profession. They improved the legal community by encouraging and supporting the professional development of Filipino law students and attorneys, and grew to 400 attorneys and law students where it is today. FBANC is still focused on the professional development of Filipino law students and attorneys, but also on developing and diversifying the legal profession generally. I'm so grateful that FBANC has supported the Chief Justice, as she mentioned, Judge Kita Chai, Judge Reyes, and myself on our appointment to the bench, and I will always be forever in your debt. I want to thank the founders for the amazing legacy they've all given us for the past 40 years of FBANC. More recently, I want to acknowledge and thank Mark Peloton, our outgoing president, and his 17 board members. They also improved the legal community and community generally by holding all the clinics and events and programs detailed by Mark at the beginning of the program. I was actually trying to make sure that I had them all written down, but honestly, it was exhausting and I got writer's cramp because there were so many. But suffice it to say, it was an impressive amount of work that his board did with his leadership last year, in addition to, as Judge Reyes mentioned, raising $40,000 in scholarships and grants. Scholarship grants and stipends for Filipino American students. That's an impressive amount. And also creating a COVID relief stipend program, equally impressive. I want to thank Mark and the outgoing board for improving our community even during the COVID crisis, which couldn't have been easy since a lot of it had to be done remotely. I want to congratulate Bill Hing on winning the well-deserved Jose Rizal Award tonight. And I want to call out Chief Justice Tani Cantil Sacauye and Assembly Member Rob Bonta, who have improved our legal community and community generally through their leadership and inspiration. Finally, I want to end by congratulating and tell them how excited I am to have them leading us through the next year of FBANC, Mari Bandoma Colado as our incoming president and her 14 other fellow board members. I look forward to hearing of your successes as you continue to improve our Filipino legal community through diversity and inclusion. I know you will leave an impressive Pamaana. Thank you.
Thank you, Judge Ibarra. Our next distinguished guest is Assemblymember Rob Bonta, who was elected to the California State Assembly's 18th District in 2012, where he represents the cities of Oakland, Alameda, and San Leandro. He became the first Filipino state legislator in California's then 160-plus year history.
You might be on mute.
I think you need to share the computer volume.
Sorry guys, having a little technical difficulty here.
San Leandro and the first Congratulations, FBANC, on 40 years of incredible service to the community and to the legal profession. It's an honor for me to be here with you today on this joyous occasion. I'm Rob Bonta in the California State Assembly, representing Oakland, Alameda, and San Leandro, and the first Filipino-American state legislator in the history of California. I want to give a shout out to Justice Tani Cantil Sakuuye, who swore me in when I passed the bar a few years back. Thank you for your friendship and your mentorship. I also want to congratulate Bill Hing and Ray Ocampo on your FBANC awards, the Jose Rizal Award, as well as the Trailblazer Award. And of course, congratulations to our incoming president, Mari Banduma Calado. Looking forward to your incredible leadership and so pleased to have benefited from so much of it already. And FBANC, as you know, has helped our community succeed, gave us a voice in the legal profession, provided empowerment, and that's what we've been doing for 40 years. Such an incredible legacy. And I just want to say thank you for all you've done during COVID-19, stepping up, providing virtual EDD help clinics, as well as providing scholarships and providing food to families, and also supporting our restaurants. So really stepping up into that moment. And, you know, this is, you know, what FBANC has been and is, what it's demonstrated time and time again is, I believe, emblematic of who we are as a Filipino-American community, whether it's fighting for our own independence against Spanish rule, or fighting against American colonization, restoring democracy in the wake of Ferdinand Marcos' dictatorship, or co-leading the United Farm Workers of America, taking a stand at the International Hotel. We have stood and fought for justice and equity, and we are continuing to do that through the work of FBANC. I also wanted to say thank you for standing in solidarity with our Black brothers and sisters and in support of the Black Lives Matter movement by supporting and representing protesters during the incredible righteous and rightful protests that we've been having nationally in the Bay Area and around the world. So thank you for your incredible leadership. You set the gold standard, not just for the Filipino-American community, but for all communities. For 40 years, we've created a legacy of empowerment and support and incredible community service. Here's to 40 more incredible years of ongoing commitment to justice, opportunity, equity, inclusion, and diversity. Thank you, and mabuhay.
Thank you, Rob, for the inspirational words. I'll now hand it back over to you, Chloe.
Thank you, Nelson. Judge Reyes, Judge Ibarra, and Assemblymember Bonta. Our next speaker is Raymond R. Rowland. Ray currently serves as Deputy City Attorney at the San Francisco City Attorney's Office, where he defends the city and county in both federal and state court matters involving constitutional issues and personal injury claims. Ray also works as an adjunct professor at San Francisco State University. Ray is passionate about social justice issues and serves as co-chair of the LGBT community committees of various local and national bar associations. He is also an active member of the Earl Warren American Inn of Court. Raymond has served on the FBANC board since 2015 and received FBANC's inaugural Nasiri and Jung Public Interest Scholarship in 2013. He served as FBANC treasurer last year, and he is excited to continue his service as FBANC vice president this year.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Raymond Rowland, and as Chloe mentioned, I am the incoming FBANC Vice President. FBANC gives the Jose Rizal Award to those individuals in our community who embody the spirit of Dr. Jose Rizal. Dr. Rizal gave his life to advocating for Filipinos, including through highlighting discrimination that Filipinos face at the hands of colonial Spain, and through pushing for Filipinos' formal representation in the Spanish government. His own personal advocacy is routinely recognized for inspiring and spurring others to action. This year's Jose Rizal Award recipient is Bill Ong Hing. Bill is a professor of law and migration studies at the University of San Francisco School of Law, and a professor of law and Asian American studies emeritus at UC Davis. He founded the Immigration Legal Service Center in San Francisco in 1979 and directs the U.S. Immigration and Deportation Defense Clinic. Professor Hing teaches immigration law and policy, migration studies, rebellious lawyering, and evidence. Professor Hing has been an immigration lawyer since 1974. Throughout his career, Professor Hing has pursued social justice by combining community work, litigation, and scholarship. Professor Hing has engaged in community work that has directly impacted the Filipino community. He was co-counsel before the U.S. Supreme Court in the matter INS versus Pangilinan regarding the denial of equitable remedy for a Filipino War veteran seeking naturalization approximately 30 years after serving in the U.S. Armed Forces in World War II. Mr. Pangilinan's legal team won before the Ninth Circuit and then lost before the U.S. Supreme Court. However, in 1990, Congress responded by enacting legislation granting relief to this class of veterans. In the matter of Atanasio, Professor Hing represented a returning lawful permanent resident who had received public benefits overturned. In that case, INS was trying to exclude lawful permanent residents from the Philippines who were on public assistance when they went to visit relatives in the Philippines. Professor Hing won this case before the Board of Immigration Appeals. Professor Hing wrote an overview of federal immigration policies and their effects on Asian and Pacific Americans, civil rights issues of Asian and Pacific Americans, myths and realities, U.S. Commission on Civil Rights, which highlighted the discrimination against Filipino visa applicants by INS investigators, and also the abuse of J visa holders from the Philippines who came in good faith but were treated like slaves. Professor Hing's biggest contribution to the Filipino community is his work over the past 30 years in resisting, organizing, writing against congressional efforts to eliminate the sibling category for immigration. Efforts to try to clear the serious backlog in the immigration categories for Filipinos is a struggle that is ongoing. Before we pass it over to Professor Hing, past Jose Rizal Award recipient Bill Tamayo will be saying a few words about Professor Hing.
It is my privilege to present this year's Jose Rizal Award recipient to my friend and bandmate, Professor Bill Ong Hing. Although Bill is not Filipino, he might as well be. When I had a case of a 72-year-old man, Mr. Santos, a lawful permanent resident who had returned from the Philippines after a short Christmas vacation. At the San Francisco airport, immigration officials loudly and rudely asked him whether he had received supplemental security income benefits, to which he replied, yes. He was immediately detained for hours at the airport, and his green card and Philippine passport were confiscated. He was accused of being excludable as a recipient of public benefits and was required to show up for a deferred inspection at the INS on Sansom Street. I contacted Bill Hing, then a staff attorney at the San Francisco Neighborhood Legal Assistance Foundation in the Chinatown North Beach office, who had also heard of similar cases. Bill led Asian community organizations to fight the INS's SSI exclusion operation that targeted hundreds of Filipinos and other Asian elderly up and down the West Coast. This community campaign led to the Social Security Administration issuing guidance that it did not consider SSI recipients as public charges. Bill also developed the legal attack using the Rosenberg versus Flutie doctrine to add that returning residents shouldn't be subjected to the exclusion laws after brief trips abroad. Several attorneys on the West Coast successfully used that argument in these cases, and ultimately we were able to get our clients' green cards and passports back. Bill also led the campaigns to preserve family reunification and to fight discriminatory immigration legislation. He founded the Golden Gate University Immigration Clinic and the Immigrant Legal Resource Center, which developed and continues to develop cutting-edge materials and training on deportation defense, asylum, the immigration consequences of criminal convictions, and much more. And not surprisingly, he led many fights in the political asylum arena and helped set the standards of what constitutes well-founded fear for asylum applicants from all around the world. And most recently, he visited the border detention centers, the cages where children from Central America were held, and described how the tears flowed from his eyes when he saw these innocent captives, and he vowed to tell the world what was going on. So what drives a person to fill his life with activism, with writing legal scholarship, with taking on the United States government, with decades teaching students and lawyers to be advocates for immigrants? Well, Bill believes in the United States Constitution, but really, it's like what Dr. Ernesto Che Guevara said in response to a question as to why he, a privileged medical doctor in Argentina, became a revolutionary in Cuba against the brutal terror of the Batista regime. Dr. Guevara said, quote, "At the risk of sounding ridiculous, the true revolutionary is guided by great feelings of love," unquote. Dr. Guevara also said, "Above all, always be capable of feeling deeply an injustice committed against anyone, anywhere in the world." So whether he knows it or not, Bill Hing lives by those principles, and we are grateful that Bill has directly and indirectly saved so many people from exclusion and deportation so that they wouldn't be separated from their families, wouldn't be persecuted in their homelands, wouldn't face extreme hardships, and wouldn't be endlessly detained. So please join me in presenting FBANC's 2020 Jose Rizal Award to a true people's lawyer, Professor Bill Hing. Thank you. It is my privilege.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Bill. I'm assuming that people can hear me now. So I just want to know how flattered I am to have, first of all, thank you, Raymond, for the introduction, but also in particular, thank you to Bill Tamayo for the introduction. I'm humbled by his introduction because he is, of course, a leader in civil rights and employment and immigration, and has been for decorations. First of all, Bill Tamayo got me in trouble about 30 years ago when he was at the Asian Law Caucus and I was at the old legal aid office on Columbus Street. We were both upset that legislation that was co-signed by the by Senator Edward Kennedy would have eliminated some family immigration categories. And in casual conversation with Bill, he said, yeah, it's like the Asian, the Latino and Asian Exclusion Act of the year. And so I repeated that to a local reporter, and that local reporter put that in print. And the next thing I know, about a week later, I got a call from Ted Kennedy's office saying, how can you call Senator Kennedy somebody who's behind Asian and Latino exclusion? So I have to thank Bill for getting me in trouble with Ted Kennedy. Also, I want to, I know some of you chuckled when Raymond introduced me as somebody who from time to time teaches rebellious lawyering, but I do want to give a shout out to Jennifer Staana, who actually is in the audience, who was one of my rebellious lawyering students and continues to live by those, by the mottos of that course. Also, I want to give a shout out to Ray Ocampo, who is the Trailblazer Award winner. Ray's an old friend and has always been a dedicated community advocate. Assemblyman Banta, so proud to know him. He's been a leader in the state assembly. I testified with him and on his behalf of a couple of his pieces of legislation challenging ICE detention in California. And I want to endorse the words of the Chief Justice that now's the time to take a stand against what's happening to the African American community and the senseless murders that have occurred at the hands of police. I would take it a step further and say that not only do we have to take a stand, we actually have to declare war against racism, and we have to shout it from the top of our lungs and to keep it at the top of our agenda. Finally, I want to pay tribute to probably one of my first immigration cases, and it's two sisters that I met from the Philippines. They were the Ayalde sisters, and I met them in the 1970s. Sarissa Ayalde was very ill, and she was alone and single, and she had a sister, Corazon Ayalde, who came to visit her on a tourist visa and came to see her sister who was dying and to take care of her. And Corazon said that I want to stay and take care of my sister. They came to my office and I said, well, yeah, your sister's a citizen. She can file a petition for you, but I got to tell you that there's a very long backlog, many years, but let's file the papers and you'll get on the waiting list. And miraculously, 6 months later, by mistake, the Immigration and Naturalization Service actually sent Corazon a notice to come in to pursue her adjustment of status application to obtain lawful permanent resident status. And they came in with a notice and they said, we've gotten notice to come in to apply for permanent residence. I said, well, there's been a mistake because the backlog is still many years, but let's go in and see what they say. And sure enough, we went in and they said, yeah, we made a mistake. You weren't supposed to get that notice. You're not eligible because of the wait list. And I argued that they had violated their own regulations by sending her this, and they've misled her, and that they shouldn't deport her. And what happened was a miracle because we never heard from INS again. They never took action against her. And both of the women lived many years longer and they died peacefully. They stayed in touch with me. And I'll never forget that experience. That experience taught me to always keep hope and always stand up for what's right and point out when immigration authorities have made a mistake, because you never know what's going to happen. So thank you very much for this award. I really appreciate it, and congratulations on the 40 years of accomplishments that you have all done together. I really appreciate your recognition. Thank you.
Thank you for those words and for being here tonight, Professor Hing. Congratulations. Our next presenter is Angelica A. Zabanal. Angelica practices in the area of privacy and commercial litigation in Duane Morris LLP's San Francisco and Silicon Valley offices. Angelica is a member of the firm's technology industry group and the fashion, retail, and consumer branded products industry group. She's a 2019 and 2020 Rising Star in an honor awarded by super lawyers to only 2.5% of attorneys under the age of 40. Angelica is passionate about diversity and inclusion initiatives and the representation of BIPOC in the legal profession. She was recently recognized as Duane Morris LLP's March 2020 Pro Bono Hero for her efforts as a managing associate of an ongoing asylum matter. Angelica has served as co-chair of the FBANC Women's Committee for the past 2 years, a role she will continue this year. Angelica currently serves FBANC as a secretary, and she is excited to further serve on the executive board as FBANC treasurer.
Thank you so much, Neil. FBANC awards its Trailblazer Award in recognition of the outstanding achievements and leadership of lawyers who have paved the way for the advancement of other Filipinx and Filipinx American attorneys. This year's Trailblazer Award recipient is Raymond L. Ocampo, Jr. Raymond L. Ocampo, Jr. is the principal founder of FBANC and the president and CEO of Samurai Surfer LLC, a private investment company. He retired as Senior Vice President, General Counsel, and Secretary of Oracle Corporation in 1996, where he served as its chief counsel for more than a decade after the company's initial public offering. In 1997, Mr. Ocampo co-founded and served for 2 years as executive director of the Berkeley Center for Law and Technology, which led to the school's ranking by US News and World Report as the country's #1 intellectual property law program for 20 of the past 22 years. After his retirement from Oracle Corporation until 2015, Mr. Ocampo was a private investor and served on the boards of more than 24 public and private companies and nonprofit organizations. He currently serves on the board of H5 Incorporated, a private e-discovery and document compliance company. His philanthropic work includes annual scholarships and internships he has provided to FBANC law students since 2000 and ABA law students a few years later. He is a 2010 recipient of the ABA's Spirit of Excellence Award for his work in increasing diversity in the legal profession. Mr. Ocampo has spent much of his post-retirement time learning a wide range of ballroom and Latin dances. Before the COVID-19 pandemic, he could often be found at a milonga, where Argentine tango is danced. He looks forward to returning to the dance floor. Before we pass it on to Mr. Ocampo, we have past presidents Ernie Lorente and Rodel Rodis, who would like to say a few words about Ray.
When we first met, I was already active with the Asian American Bar Association as a co-founding member. And Ray contacted me, introduced himself, and told him of his vision of establishing a professional bar association by Filipino American lawyers to assist Filipino American in law school and in the profession. And I listened to what he had to say, and I totally bought into his vision. And we formed a core group who became close friends and have carried on the organization and transferred it to the later students who became lawyers. Ray is a dynamic person in a lot of ways, quite persuasive, accomplished in his own fields, legal counsel for Oracle Corporation and Larry Ellison. Ray I really appreciate what you've done. I appreciate that we have been good friends for all these years. And I also appreciate that you got me interested in taking dance while I was still practicing law, since you were quite involved with Argentine tango. We are honoring you for your legal accomplishments and your organizational abilities. And you are a trailblazer in many ways. And the legal community, the Filipino American legal community, the Asian American legal community are very appreciative of what you've done.
The screen is on me, but I'm waiting for
Ray, enjoy
instructions
your
to
honor.
speak if
Truly deserve it.
I'm to do so.
Long and prosper, dear friend. When we first met, I was already active with the Asian American Bar Association as a co-founding member. And Ray contacted me, introduced himself, and told him of his vision of establishing a professional bar association by Filipino American lawyers to assist Filipino Americans in law school and in the profession.
Unfortunately, Rizal's video is not working right now, but we will share it at a later time.
I can see that the photo is on me, but let me know. Okay, thank you. Sometimes we have technical difficulties, and I'm sorry to have missed Ernie's and Rudell's comments, but I think I may have heard them already, so that's great. First of all, I want to thank you all for this Trailblazer Award. Thank you, Angelica, for your kind introduction. Thank you also to everyone else who's given me acknowledgement, shout outs. They're very heartwarming to me. And mostly I want to thank Mark and the past board and Mari, and the current board for all the work that they've done this year. It's amazing what you've done. I mean, I think what you've done this 1 year is maybe what we did, and it took us 10 years to do. So thank you for all that you've done. It was great to see Rob Bonta and him looking like a movie star. And since mine is a Trailblazer Award, I guess I look like I've been blazing some trails recently. FBANC has fulfilled the vision we had when a handful of us, Ernie Lorente, Bill Tamayo, Mel Santos, then a few others met in 1979 at my offices to form this organization. We had as our central goal an organization whose members supported one another and helped others who followed. And by any and every measure, you, the members of FBANC, past and present, have succeeded in fulfilling its central mission. I congratulate you and thank you. There's nothing more heartwarming than to form an organization and see it succeed. I won't say beyond my wildest dreams, because for some reason I always dreamed big, but you've succeeded, and I thank you for that. I feel like a proud father whose child has just grown up and done very well. Where do we go from this success in the midst of crises, plural? Each crisis by itself is not unprecedented. We have had pandemics before, including the 1918 flu epidemic, one lesson of which was that the second wave of a pandemic is much worse than the first. We have had recessions before, including the Great Depression. We've had justified protests against racial injustice and inequality before, including those against police brutality, violence, and murder. The difference is that we have not had 3 raging crises of such magnitude simultaneously, with the outcomes in the balance in an election year where voter suppression is even more evident, with someone at the helm for whom there is no low that he won't go. What role can FBANC, what role can we play in the tsunami of crises that threatens to tear our country, our world apart? I offer what may seem like a small step, but it is within our control. It's one within our control. We must keep doing what we are doing to keep each other together, even though we have to do it through Zoom. We can provide ballasts of hope against the waves of despair by supporting one another, helping one another, keeping each other safe, and providing a vision of what is possible beyond this pandemic, beyond the racial injustice and inequality, and beyond the recession. Our celebration, as muted as it is by the challenges before us, is a way of breathing. Celebration is deep breathing to infuse us with the will and strength to stand and face our challenges. I see from the work that you have all done that you're ready to meet the challenges. You have been meeting the challenges. Together, we must keep faith that we will overcome, and I am confident that we will. Thank you.
On behalf of FBANC, thank you so much, Ray, for all of your contributions to the Filipinx American legal community, and most importantly, to your dedication to our law students. To that end, on February 22nd, 2020, FBANC and the newly formed Bay Area PALS Coalition proudly hosted Comunidad, the inaugural conference for Filipinx American law students. Comunidad was the first conference of its kind in the country that aims to empower and inspire Filipinx identifying law students. The conference brought together 45 law students from across the Bay Area law schools and over 45 lawyers and volunteers and panelists, the biggest gathering of Filipinx American law students in history. The day consisted of one-on-one resume review workshops and mock interview workshops, panels on how to succeed as a summer associate and post-bar, an opening remark from Ray Ocampo, the first general counsel of Oracle, and this year's Trailblazer Award recipient, and a keynote from Assemblymember Rob Bonta. FBANC would like to thank all of the wonderful panelists, lawyer volunteers, and law students that made this event truly unforgettable. Now, join us as we proudly congratulate the graduating class of 2020. From UC Hastings College of the Law, Neil Edward Bautista and Kayla Pearl Kakananta Liu. From UC Berkeley Law School, Samantha Cherise Hamilton, Bonifacio Season, Amanda Almeida, and Kevin Cacabelos. From Santa Clara University Law School, Chloe Marie Ramos Zabaranek. And last but not the least, from the University of San Francisco School of Law, Ashley Mirador, John Michael McClenn, and Francisco Mangini. Congratulations. The FBANC community is so proud of each and every one of you and all that you have accomplished, especially this year. We look forward to seeing what you will accomplish as lawyers and as part of the FBANC community.
Thank you, Ray, for those kind words and that recognition. And now I am pleased to introduce Antonio Raimundo, who will be speaking to you all about the FBANC Foundation. Antonio is Counsel of Employment and Litigation at Lyft. For the last couple of years, Antonio has served as FBANC's Mentorship Committee co-director. In this next term, Antonio will be serving as the FBANC Foundation's treasurer and FBANC's officer at large.
Thank you, Neil. The FBANC Foundation is a nonprofit educational charity organization. The foundation raises money and provides scholarships to support Phil-Am Law students in Northern California. Thanks to donations from our community, including some very generous members who provided large grants, we are providing more than $40,000 in scholarships and stipends to the student community. Here's a video about the foundation and some past recipients of scholarships.
At its heart, FBANC is a community service organization. And when I'm talking about community, I'm talking about both our community of practicing lawyers and our community of law students. And 5 years ago, we created the FBANC Foundation to support both, to figure out ways to financially provide support for the professional development of both the lawyers and the law students.
First, FBANC is an incredible bar organization, and I've watched my friends and leaders of FBANC really have a local, state, and national impact. My dream was I wanted to be able to support my family, but also to be able to support my friends. I wasn't thinking about community at the time, but when I finally moved to the Bay Area and saw the genuine community that APAs have here, it's something really special. And to support those attorneys who directly give back in their day-to-day work, that's so incredibly special and so satisfying to me personally. So I've been happy to support FBANC with the Public Interest Scholarship.
I actually got through college in 3 years because it cost less to go to school 3 years than 4 years. And I was helped with some loans and with scholarships as well. And so it was my way of giving back in part to the organizations who helped me, the scholarships and the loans that helped me get through school.
In 2015, I received the Nasirian Young Public Interest Scholarship.
I received the FBANC Scholarship in 2007.
I received the Raymond Ocampo Scholarship in 2009.
And it really changed my life because it connected me with community. It really gave me purpose as to why the Filipino Bar Association is such an important organization, and really helped shape my path into getting amazing mentors and also becoming a mentor myself to the next generation.
For those folks who have been scholarship recipients in the past, don't forget the foundation. Pay it forward, pay it backward, just pay it back. Figure out ways to continue to support bringing up those who are behind us, because we're just not going to be able to do this forever. And we need folks to kind of keep on coming up through the pipeline, and that's what the FBANC Foundation is there to do. Please be sure to give to the FBANC Foundation. We have a link that's available at give.fbank.org. That's give.fbank.org, because giving is a good idea. Right, Ollie? Mm-hmm. Is it a good idea? Mm-hmm. Say yes, it's a good idea.
Yes, it's a good idea.
Say thank you.
Thank you.
What a great video. This spring, the FBANC Foundation received more than 30 excellent scholarship applications, a relatively high number for the foundation. It was not easy to narrow them down, and I'll discuss the students who received scholarships shortly. But before that, Mark Peloton will discuss the FBANC COVID-19 stipend program.
Thank you, Antonio. FBANC has been the FBANC Foundation has been very blessed and very fortunate by the, from the generosity of its donors over the past couple of years. And we were in a position this year initially to think about creating an endowment. So in December of this year, FBANC had voted to create an endowment for the future in order to support future law students, and make sure that we had a sustaining amount of money to support those students in the future. When the pandemic hit, we brainstormed as a board to figure out what we could do immediately in order to support our law students who we knew that were, like so many around us, facing financial troubles based on the sudden loss of jobs, the sudden loss of support from their families, the sudden extra costs that they would need to incur because they perhaps had to go home, from their law schools, from their places of residence because of the pandemic. So the FBANC board and the FBANC Foundation board earlier this year in April voted to create the COVID-19 stipend program to look at those law students who had the greatest need, those law students who lost their jobs, who had those extra expenses, who needed to support their families and their dependents, and were immediately and severely hit by the pandemic. We are so gracious for our generous donors to enable us to give 8 law students over $10,000 total in emergency financial support to get them through this crisis, because that is what we do as a community. We support our own. We make sure that our law students can get through this so that they know that everything will end up being okay. It was a debated and a thought through process by the FBANC Foundation board, and we wanted to kind of meet the moment and support our law students. So we are so proud to award 8 law students out there from across the Bay Area with over $10,000 to support them through this time. Thank you to all of you who have given to the FBANC Foundation and who have enabled us to do this. And never forget, you can give tonight at give.fbank.org to continue to support our program. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Next, I will be announcing the recipients of 2 stipends relating to key Asian American legal conferences. The first stipend is related to Pinay Powerhouse, which is a conference for Filipino American women lawyers. Since 2017, the FBANC Women's Committee and the FBANC Foundation have provided a stipend in the amount of $500 to $1,000 to a law student or recent graduate to attend the Pinay Powerhouse Conference. The recipient of the 2020 FBANC Women's Committee Pinay Powerhouse Scholarship is Romay-Ann Aquino, who will be using this stipend next year to attend Pinay Powerhouse in Seattle. Romay-Ann is a rising 2L at Santa Clara Law.
Later.
She's a first-generation Phil-Am law student who plans to serve underserved communities within the public interest and social justice field. Congratulations, Romay-Ann. The second conference-related stipend is the 2019 FBANC Foundation NAPABA Conference Stipend. Since 2016, the FBANC Foundation has provided stipends in the amount of $500 to law students or recent grads who have demonstrated a commitment to public interest and/or Asian Pacific American issues, which they then use to attend the annual conference of the National Asian Pacific American Bar Association. The recipient of the 2019 NAPABA Conference Stipend was Rochelle Jernan, a terrific UC Hastings student who attended the NAPABA conference in Texas last November. We'll discuss Rochelle a little bit more in detail in a few minutes. Congratulations to Rochelle, and thank you to Romay-Ann and Michelle for traveling to these important conferences and for representing our community there. Next, it's my great pleasure to discuss 4 FBANC Foundation scholarship recipients. The first scholarship I'll address is the FBANC Foundation Scholarship, which is a $5,000 scholarship funded by the FBANC Foundation. This year's recipient is Rianne Briones. Rianne is a rising 3L at the University of San Francisco School of Law. She's a 2016 graduate of UC Santa Cruz. At USF Law, she serves as the vice president of the Filipino American Law Society. Rianne is a Bay Area native. She loves the Warriors and apparently she's continuously searching for the perfect adobo recipe. During this summer, Rianne serves as a legal clerk for APILO, the Asian Pacific Islander Legal Outreach Organization, a nonprofit that provides legal, social, and educational services to the Asian American community. Congratulations, Rianne. Next, I'll be announcing the winner of the FBANC Charles and Melita Jung Charitable Trust Fund Scholarship. This is a $3,000 scholarship funded by Charles and Melita Jung. Charles Jung, who you saw on the FBANC Foundation video a few minutes ago, is a pillar of the Asian American community, an exceptional litigator at the Naziri and Jung LLP law firm. He and his wife have been generous supporters of FBANC for several years, and they funded this scholarship, which supports law students committed to public interest law work. This year's recipient is Tiffany de Guzman. Tiffany is a rising 2L at Berkeley Law. She is a North Carolina native, a 2019 graduate of Duke University, and an accomplished choral singer. At Berkeley, she is the president of the Philippines American Law Society. This summer, she is serving as a legal intern at the National Resources Defense Council, and she intends to focus her legal career on the intersection of environmental and racial justice. Congratulations, Tiffany. The next scholarship is the Honorable Ronald Kidache Scholarship. This is a $5,000 scholarship named for Judge Ronald Kidache, a founding member of FBANC, the first Filipino-American judge in SF Superior Court, and the longest serving judge on that court until his retirement in 2018. This year's scholarship recipient is Ashley Mirador. Ashley is a Bay Area native, a 2017 graduate of St. John's University, and as of last month, a 2020 graduate of the University of San Francisco Law School. At USF, she served as the president of the Filipino-American Law Society, the president of the Asian Pacific American Law Students Association, and the vice president of the Student Bar Association. She is interested in practicing employment law and in legal academia. Congratulations, Ashley. Next, I'm going to announce the winner of the Raymond L. Ocampo Jr. Family Scholarship. This is a $10,000 scholarship funded by the generosity of Ray Ocampo and his family, who you've heard a lot about tonight. Ray is a founding member of FBANC and one of the cornerstones of our legal community. This year's recipient is Rochelle Jernan, a first-generation Phil-Am law student at UC Hastings, where she is a rising 3L. She has been the president of the Philippines American Law Society at Hastings, an extern in Judge Edward Chen's chambers in the U.S. District Court, and she serves as the editor-in-chief of the Hastings Constitutional Law Quarterly legal journal. During her 1L summer, she was a legal intern at the East Bay Community Law Center, where she represented clients in housing matters. During this summer, she serves as a summer law clerk at Minami Tamaki LLP, one of the premier law firms in the Bay Area. It's been my great pleasure to discuss these amazing students with you all tonight. Congratulations to all of them. The FBANC Foundation will be awarding 2 new scholarships this year. Next, we're going to play for you a video about the FBANC Foundation and the FBANC Foundation and Bailiff Foundation Joint Pamilya Scholarship, as well as the Honorable Eleanor Udakayan Nesperos Women's Committee Scholarship.
My name is Mari Vando Macalado. I am FBANC's current president-elect. I have served on the board since 2013, and I received the Raymond L. Ocampo Jr. Family Scholarship in 2011.
My name is Raymond Rowland, and I currently serve as FBANC's treasurer. I received the Naziri Young Public Interest Scholarship in 2013 and have served on the board since 2015.
We're excited to announce that the FBANC Foundation will be awarding 2 new scholarships this year. The first being the Honorable Eleanor Udakaya Nesperos Women's Scholarship. Judge Nesperos was the first Filipino-American lawyer in California, and she was the first FBANC president.
We're also excited to announce the creation of our inaugural FBANC and Bay Area Lawyers for Individual Freedom Scholarship. This is the first scholarship of its kind in the country, meant to recognize a student that has shown a commitment to the Filipinx American community and LGBTQI community.
With your help, the FBANC Foundation aims to raise $40,000 this year.
On behalf of FBANC, thank you for your continued support of the FBANC Foundation.
Another great video. Okay, I'll now turn things over to FBANC Vice President Ray Rowland, who will discuss our next scholarship recipient of the evening.
Thank you, Antonio. This year, we are proud to award the inaugural FBANC Foundation Bailiff Foundation Joint Familia Scholarship to none other than Adrian Molinetta. Adrian is a rising third-year law student at the University of California, Berkeley School of Law. Born and raised in Cebu City, Philippines, Adrian immigrated with his family to the United States in 2008. He received his Bachelor of Arts in Political Science and Environmental Studies from the University of Arizona in 2018. Adrian will spend the summer as a litigation summer associate at Farella, Braun, and Martel in San Francisco. At Berkeley Law, he served as president of the Filipinx American Law Society and the Queer Caucus. What an achievement. He is an associate editor for the California Law Review and is senior articles editor for the Asian American Law Journal. Congratulations, Adrian. We are so proud of you. I'll now turn it over to Mari Bendoma Caliado to talk about our inaugural Honorable Eleanor Esperos Women's Scholarship.
The inaugural recipients of the Honorable Eleanor Odocaya Nesperos Women's Committee Scholarship are Jenna Edra and Christian Milano. Jenna graduated from San Jose State University in 2019 with a Bachelor of Arts in Social Work and with double minors in Women, Gender, and Sexuality Studies and Political Science. Informed by her education and hands-on work for organizations including YWCA, Silicon Valley, and Next Door Solutions to Domestic Violence, Jenna approaches legal work with a social justice, people-centered framework. Currently in efforts to support marginalized communities, she volunteers with Asian Law Alliance and organizes with Lead Filipino in her spare time. Jenna plans to pursue a law degree, utilizing it to aid survivors of sexual and/or domestic violence. Christian recently worked as a campaign coordinator for PICO California, helping coordinate statewide efforts to achieve housing justice for tenants across the state. Most recently, with campaign efforts to pass Assembly 1482 to limit high rent increases and stop unjust no-clause evictions. Previously, he served as a community organizer in San Jose, working with tenants and various community organizations in the struggle for renters' rights and more affordable housing upon the upcoming Google development. With his passion and drive for housing, social, and racial justice, Christian aims to pursue a legal profession to empower community members to use their voice to fight for change. Christian was a dedicated volunteer for the FBANC ALC EDD Forum Assistance Clinic those last 2 months. Congratulations to Jenna and Christian.
Congratulations to our scholarship and stipend recipients. I'm now introducing Natalie. Natalie is excited to return on the FBANC board as co-director of professional development. This past year, Natalie served as the FBANC Foundation treasurer. Natalie is a managing associate at Denson's US LLP, where her practice focuses on complex litigation in the areas of products liability, premises liability, real estate, and business matters. Natalie has been involved in all facets of civil litigation and has significant trial experience where she has chaired several cases to verdict in state and federal court. She is originally from Illinois and obtained her BA in political science and English from the University of Illinois. She later moved to California and earned her JD from Thomas Jefferson School of Law in San Diego.
Thank you, Chloe. Good evening. Every year, the annual gala is the biggest fundraiser to support the organization. In light of the pandemic and so many challenges our community is facing, we decided not to sell tickets and instead wanted everyone to have access to the gala during this difficult time. So you saved a lot of money today, but really, as my last duty as the outgoing FBANC treasurer, I call on you now. This is the time to donate so we can reach our $40,000 goal for the year. We are all in front of our computers and phones, so we can do this. Visit give.fbank.org and make a tax-deductible donation. So please, on Zoom or YouTube, make a comment that you will continue to support the FBANC legacy by serving our community and supporting the foundation and making a donation tonight. Thank you for your continued support.
Thank you, Natalie. It is my honor to reintroduce Mari Bendoma Collado. But before I do, I want to share an anecdote with you all beforehand. Mari is one of my mentors through FBANC. I met Mari in August of 2017 during my orientation week at UC Hastings. She was on a panel with other Hastings alumni, and she was discussing career trajectories. I remember this experience so vividly because I remember feeling so affirmed to finally see and hear from someone who looked just like me. In fact, up until that point, I had never met a Filipino-American attorney, and I'd worked in the legal field for about 4 years prior. After hearing from Mari, I felt certain about my place in this field. As I've mentioned before, Mari has an impressive resume. She's an exceptional and dedicated leader, and it's for this reason that the future generation of Filipinx attorneys will be inspired and activated. I am so profoundly grateful for her mentorship and guidance throughout all 3 years of my law school experience. She assuaged my fears, advocated on my behalf, and reminded me to believe in myself. She's a phenomenal woman and a remarkable mother. And with that, I am pleased to introduce FBANC's 40th president, Mari Bendoma Collado.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much, Neil, for that kind introduction. I am so proud of you and Chloe, all of our scholarship recipients and stipend recipients this evening who have demonstrated true commitment to the Filipinx and Filipinx American community. I am truly honored to serve as FBANC's 40th president. As you all know, this year's theme is Pamana, or legacy. This year is about honoring FBANC's history with an eye towards FBANC's future. As Dr. Jose Rizal said, ang hindi marunong lumingon sa pinanggalingan ay hindi makakarating sa paroroonan. He who does not know how to look back at where he came from will never get to his destination. First, I want to thank our founding members. I will share with you this program that we received from past President Mike Nasperos earlier this week. This is the program from FBANC's first installation ceremony, June 19, 1981. Thank you so much to our founding members for creating this amazing community. I also want to thank you, FBANC members and supporters. We are so fortunate in that this community's generosity is abundant and that our members are invested not only in the mentorship of our aspiring lawyers and young attorneys, but they are also just as committed to contributing to the FBANC Foundation to ensure that our pipeline continues to grow and remain strong. I also want to thank my Dolan Law Firm family and to Chris Dolan, who over the past 4 years have supported my service to FBANC. I am so grateful to work for a firm that has allowed me to grow as an attorney and as a leader in this community. This is a law firm that is committed to social justice. To my husband, Mark Collado, and my son, Mael Bandoma Collado, thank you for understanding how important FBANC is to me. People always ask me, how do I do it all? And the answer is I don't. I don't do this alone. Thank you so much, Mark and Mael. I love you both so much. To my parents, Danilo Hilao Bandoma and Gloria Maris Persungkula Bandoma, who made so many sacrifices for me and my sisters. Thank you for always believing in me and for your unconditional love and words of encouragement. I wouldn't be the person I am today without my parents. I would like to share a story with you from my childhood. In 2004, I was in my second year at Cal when I learned that my father was injured at work. At the time, he was a USPS postal worker, and he was driving his USPS truck when another vehicle hit him head on. I rushed home to San Leandro from Berkeley and anxiously waited for updates. Fortunately, my father was discharged from the emergency room the same day. But when he walked in our front door, he was still wearing the hospital-issued gown. I noticed one of his eyes was covered by an eye patch. I suddenly noticed the wrinkles around his eyes, the eyes that squint in the same way that mine does when I smile. He suddenly looked 10 years older. He walked slowly as if every step caused him pain. He told me, "Go get the vacuum." "The vacuum? What for?" I asked. My father said, "The doctor told me to vacuum the glass off of my head." I couldn't believe what I said. I didn't know if I should laugh or if I should cry, but after some back and forth, we decided on simply using a tweezer to pick out each piece of glass lodged onto my father's scalp. My father was always Superman to me, vibrant and strong. This was the first time in my life that I was ever worried about him. This was the first time that I realized my father was not indestructible. His eye injury ultimately required surgery. A piece of glass damaged his cornea. For a moment, we worried about complications, how this would affect his vision. But as he recuperated from his physical injuries, the trauma and emotional toll of this incident caused him to take a lot longer to recover. Instead of supporting my father during this vulnerable time in his life, his former employer retaliated against him for taking time off to recover from his injuries and for requesting accommodations for his disabilities. My father was caught on tape driving my then pregnant mom to her doctor's appointment. This surveillance video was later used against my father. His former employer accused him of committing fraud. He could not have been traumatized from the incident because he was back on the road. He was driving my mom. They even threatened him with potential jail time. I felt helpless and defeated. This cannot be right. This is America. We have rights, don't we? Resigning from a job that he loved, that he held for 7 years, brought financial uncertainty for my family. I felt the worry and anxiety my parents struggled with as they figured out how they were going to supplement my father's lost income. I told myself I would never let anything like this happen again to my family or any of my loved ones again. I knew I had to go to law school. I remember sharing this story with an attorney I worked for in 2008. Back then, I worked in IP litigation as a paralegal. I was working on my personal statement in support of my law school application. He told me that I shouldn't focus on my father's story, that my statement should be about me. I struggled with that. As a first-generation immigrant, my parents' struggles were just as much mine. I was 12 years old when I moved to this country from the Philippines. After school, I was in charge of my sisters who were 4, 7, and 8 years old, while my parents worked multiple jobs to make ends meet. I accompanied my parents to their appointments with their immigration attorney, who was helping us fill out our paperwork for US citizenship. Even though I was new to this country, my parents thought I could help with the language barrier. So I revised my personal statement according to the advice I was given, but it never really sat well with me. I mean, maybe he was right. Maybe law schools in America don't care for the immigrant experience. It reminded me of all the times that I thought my voice did not matter because I spoke with an accent. It made me think of my parents' sacrifices and my story as an immigrant woman of color. It made me think that I had no place in what an American success story would be like. Imposter syndrome runs rampant in this community. I've spoken to so many Pinay powerhouse attorneys who have accomplished so much as lawyers, as mothers, as leaders in this community. And yet so many of us wonder, am I good enough? Do I work hard enough? Am I smart enough? One of the hardest and proudest things that I've ever done in my life is giving birth to my son 22 months ago. There were a lot of us in labor and delivery that morning, and I spent a lot of time with the nurse assigned to me. To distract me from the pain, she asked me what I did for a living. So in between contractions, I shared that I'm a workers' rights attorney. I told her that I worked with victims of discrimination, harassment, retaliation, and wrongful termination. I even shared with her a human trafficking case that I was working on at the time, and that I'd be going back to work just a couple months later to try the case with my boss, Chris Dolan. As the contractions got worse, she encouraged me to push and breathe. She reminded me that as a woman of color, that as a Filipina American, I am strong. She reminded me that I am powerful. She thanked me for using my education to fight. So I breathe and I push and I breathe my son out into this world. And suddenly I realized that he is now my life source. He is now the air that I breathe. The last few weeks have placed a spotlight on the horrific injustices that Black Americans suffer. When I think about how many Black mothers live in this constant fear of never seeing their sons again, I feel sick to my stomach. I refuse to imagine. It's impossible to imagine. It's a privilege not to be able to imagine. One of the most poignant posters I've seen during the protests is this, that all mothers were summoned when George called for his mama. We as lawyers and aspiring lawyers, all of us in this legal profession, we are privileged to hold this power. We have an obligation to use our voice, to speak up for those muzzled by systemic racism. As the Philippines celebrates its independence from the Spanish colonizers today in that time zone, I think about our obligation to overthrow the remnants of colonialism that is embedded in the psyche of the Filipino community. Growing up, I was constantly told not to play out in the sun because I would get too dark. It made me believe that my dark skin is not beautiful. As FBANC's 40th president, I hope to lead this organization with the same tenacity, with the same fierceness, with the same dedication that our past 39 presidents have. I look forward to continue serving the Filipinx and Filipinx American, as well as the marginalized communities here, as FBANC has always done. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you so much, Mari, for those kind and inspiring words. Congratulations to Mari and to the rest of the FBANC 2020 to 2021 FBANC board. If you are not yet a member of FBANC, or if your membership has lapsed, please make sure to sign up tonight. In celebration of FBANC's 40th anniversary, FBANC is offering special membership pricing until 11:59 p.m. this evening. Go to fbanc.org for more information.
Thank you for those remarks, Mari. Please join FBANC for a virtual after party via Zoom featuring Richard B. Asada, an attorney with Jackson Lewis in Orange County, California. Richard is a member of the Filipino American Lawyers of Orange County and the National Filipino American Lawyers Association. Prior to starting his law firm practice, Richard worked for a major record label and DJ'd in nightclubs and music festivals in the Los Angeles area. A link should have been sent to you all when you RSVP'd, but it is also posted on FBANC's social media pages on Facebook and on Instagram. Thank you all for celebrating with us this evening.